Well, hello. I'm super excited that you guys have joined me today. I am here with Ryan Day, and he's a franchise owner from homecleanheroes.com. Or I think I said that right. Home Clean. How do I say this?
Yeah.
Home Clean Heroes Cleaning. And I'm super excited that he's joined us today because I know we've got a lot of questions about whether you go solo, whether you jump into a franchise. And so we've got a lot of questions prepared today. And he took time off work today to have this conversation with us. So I'm really excited about this. Thank you for joining us. And if you have questions, drop those in the sidebar, and we're going to answer as many of them as we can. And I do want to say hello. Uh, Crime Time Grime says, come on in and put your feet up and don't let Angela see them on her table. You know what? That is true because if I see your feet on my table, I'm going to come in with my little microfiber cloth and some cleaning solution. I'm going to clean it up. All right. So help me welcome Ryan to our show today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love being here. I love do these podcasts, answer questions, and just have a general conversation about what it is I do and why I do it.
Well, you guys, I'm super excited that you've joined me. And Ryan, tell us, I think you started this business with your mom. Tell us about how you got started in the cleaning business.
Yeah, so I'm sure when you first hear the fact that somebody has a cleaning franchise or started a cleaning company, you're thinking, why on earth would you do that? Well, a big part of it is because there's a need for it. Okay, so I'm a real estate agent and I really enjoy working with clients to find them their dream homes. But with that comes along with some issues and problems, especially when it comes to the cleanliness of a home itself. When people are listing their home, they need to have it clean before photos are taken and people are walking through. When you purchase a new home, the last thing you want to do is move in when things are super dirty. So you want to start off or end off with a really fresh, clean start or finish. So having a home clean is really important. And it was really difficult for me to find good, I guess, cleaning businesses that would work easily with me. There wasn't great communication. It was very difficult to work between clients and kind of be an intermediary. And so I started thinking there could be a potential there for better, just all around a better experience and a better overall look. And so I knew cleaning was an issue. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've been a real estate agent for 2 years now, and I'm only one person. Okay. I busted my butt. I sold 28 homes my first year. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was challenging. I don't say that to boast. I just say that it's a lot of work. Okay. And so, you make a certain amount of money from that and it's great. And then you just have to make it again. Like you're just fighting for the next commission check. Now I love what I do, but I could not see that to be sustainable. Okay. I just got engaged back in September. And so I know I'm getting married. I'm going to be starting a family. And I couldn't see myself long term selling real estate the rest of my life. Like I wanted something that would be a little more sustainable, would provide a steadier revenue stream to provide for my future family. And so I started looking into companies that would help out my real estate. I wanted something that would really go alongside with it so I could kind of do both and it would make sense. One would help the other.
Mhm.
So I was looking at home services. I was looking at, handyman services, lawn care, painting, cleaning, all those kind of things. And I knew I wanted to start a franchise or buy into a franchise because I don't know the first thing, or I didn't know the first thing about starting a business. Okay. I've never owned a business before. I've never managed people to that level. I've never fired, things like that. And I really wanted an opportunity for someone to hold my hand through it, for lack of a better term. And I had been reading up on franchises, looking into it, what all's involved. There's buy-ins, there's all this kind of stuff. So I started doing research on it. And I ended up finding a franchise business coach that would help me kind of point me in the direction I needed to go for what was best for me and my life and the things that I wanted in a business. And that led me to home services. So out of all those I had mentioned, I kept coming back to Home Clean Heroes for a few reasons. One of those was the fact that, like I told you, there was a huge problem I was already experiencing all the time with my real estate. Cleaning was a big part of it. Okay. Secondly was their marketing. I kept seeing this cute little house with these little bubbles and all these really, really well-designed marketing materials it was already catching my eye. I wasn't even a part of it yet. So I kept thinking to myself, well, if it's catching my eye, and it's really showing me that like, wow, that's a really, really good, well put together logo. That looks professional. If I'm already thinking that, what do you think our future customers are going to be thinking when they see that kind of stuff too? So that just kept gravitating me towards it. I started having, validation calls, talking with people a part of the business for a couple of different franchises just to really narrow that search down. And every time Home Clean Heroes just kept beating out everything else. And so that's the direction I went in.
So my question is, as a realtor, one of the most important things about the buy or the sell is the cleaning. And it's an often overlooked element of the real estate business simply for the fact that many people just kind of assume that all houses are ready to move in.
You're right. Yes.
So did you then choose the cleaning business because it was a big part of the real estate process? Or was it just because you thought that then, like you said, it was going to give you some recurring revenue where the sale and purchase of a home is a one-time sale and then you've got to start the process over again?
Right. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. When it came to having the idea of starting a business in general, I thought the biggest thing that I needed to look for was a problem that needed to be solved. That's why we all pay for things, whether it be a product, service, or anything like that. I needed to find a problem. And this is the problem that kept hitting me, not only with real estate, but personally. So I told you I was selling 28 homes my first year. I was super, super busy. I didn't have time to do anything really around the house. And I really like a clean space. I think it clears my head. It allows me to walk in and not have clutter everywhere. It gives me an excuse to pick up everything. And I can just come home to a clean house. It's a great experience. And so that being said, personally, I could see where there was a need for this. There was a lot of people out there that might want to save some time and not have to spend a whole weekend cleaning their home, every month or every 2 weeks, whatever it may be. And it's just available for you to have a clean space. And so personally, I was seeing the issues of wanting it and why people would want it. And then professionally, I was seeing reasons why this was a good idea. So it was kind of both that led to this point. It just seeing it from a personal and a business side, it added up to it. And then, yes, like you said, it is a big deal when it comes to selling real estate that the home is clean and that it's done correctly. And so quality assurance is a big part of our business. It's why, we do what we do, is to have a professionally clean place, and people are paying for that. So we need to ensure that that clean is to the degree we want it.
So what control did you have over the combo, knowing that you could guarantee your sellers and your buyers a super clean home? Like, hey, there's a company here that I also recommend, because you're a part of it, to make sure that they have the top-notch cleaning that they need in order to make the deal go through.
Well, it helped the fact that I'm the general manager and the owner, so I could speak to exactly the way that Home Clean Heroes does things. But again, it's the quality assurance side of it. So either myself or our co-owner Barbara will go out to the clean itself at the end. So for essentially a move in, move out clean, which would be for real estate, we would go out and we would ensure that everything has been done correctly. We would quality check everything and just really make sure that it's the top notch and the best clean possible. It's not to say they don't do it all the time, but we want to make sure that there are no mistakes made.
I love that. So you've chosen an industry, and this is really interesting. And I want to highlight the fact that Ryan brought this up, because a lot of people that are getting involved in the cleaning industry miss this. If you have a 9 to 5 job and your job goes away, all your money goes away. Or if you're in an industry where you have a one-time sale and then that sale is complete, you got to start all over again from scratch. And where you have a cleaning business, what you can do is you have slots, time slots that are available. And if somebody falls out, which they will, they'll move, or they'll drop their job, or they'll get fired, or they'll move, or something happens, that eventually a customer will leave for some reason. And then you just plug another person in that slot and the money continues. And so it's a very different business model than a one-time deal, or where you have, as they say, all of your eggs in one basket.
Yes, that's correct. That was a big part of why, I started it as well, as again, for stability, right? And like you said, you don't see these grandiose numbers that come through. With real estate, you can see thousands of dollars coming through just for one transaction, and it's great, but you're kind of fighting for the next one, right? There's always the uphill battle of, okay, well, when's the next one coming? Who am I talking
Mhm.
to? Where am I going? What am I looking at? Versus with cleaning, yes, in the instance where we lose a customer due to financial reasons, you know, we can work with another customer who had a similar sized home, maybe in the same area, and just kind of replug them in back into that route.
So, speak to me a little bit about the franchise opportunity, because I know a lot of people will get involved in the cleaning industry and they either want to go all in on a franchise and they either don't know what is involved and then they don't do it, or they decide that they're only going to start out being solo because they don't know what is involved or that it is attainable to become part of a franchise. So, give us a little bit of background there, if you will, on the process of getting involved in a franchise.
Sure. Yeah. So with franchising comes good and bad with anything in life, right? There's also good and bad sides to starting something on your own. With franchising specifically, it's going to take a little bit of money up front. Now, why it takes money is because you're buying into a company that has already tried and true certain aspects of the business that are going to give you a headache. So you can avoid some of that stuff. It depends on how long the business has been in business, really, and how strong their corporate team is to be able to help you through this process. So is it a company that has 1,000 franchisees? Is it a company that has one or two, 10, 30? You know, it really depends on the size. Now, that's not to say bigger or smaller is good or bad. It just depends on what works best for you. And that's why there is something called a validation process where you start to ask those questions, figure out what's kind of going on here, talk to some of the current owners if all possible, talk to the corporate team, ask them the questions that you may have burning in your mind to be able to ask. So going about owning a franchise, it can help you in the long run because you don't hit those initial major hiccups that a lot of people do and end up fizzling out for business. Okay. Marketing is a big one. What do they do for your marketing? How much are they asking you to spend in marketing? How is that being allocated? What does the marketing material look like? All those kind of things. I would say for the most part, a franchise should have pretty ironed out for you. That's why you're getting into it, especially in a service-based industry now. Food, that's a different ball game. Like, picking up a fast food chain, that's a lot more money. There's a lot more into that and a lot more things I don't know. But when it comes to a service-based industry, there's a lot of things like that really matter. So it's really important to do your research and find that out. Now, if you don't have the funds to be able to invest in a franchise, there's nothing wrong with starting something yourself. It will be less expensive in the beginning, but you're going to run into a lot of headaches that will take you a lot more time to figure out and overcome. So I think this comes down to a lot of things in life. It's either time or money. Okay.
Mhm.
You can apply that to cleaning. You can apply it to a lot of different things. But is your time worth the money you're going to spend? So either you spend the money up front, get into a franchise that can help you really accelerate your business quickly, or don't, put the initial investment in, put it into yourself, see what you can make happen. And if it turns out great, that's perfect. You didn't take as much up front, but I almost guarantee you it's going to take more time in the beginning, because especially if you don't know what you're doing, if it's the first business you've ever started or tried to buy into.
Well, I love the fact that you said when you were in the process of taking a look at the franchise, you said the logo kept popping up everywhere. Then,
Mhm.
as you were doing validation calls, you said you kept talking to owners and you just kept seeing it everywhere that you went. And I love that because that brings to the fact that there's already something established that you're buying into instead of, like you said, starting and trying to create that momentum by yourself.
Yes.
I want to say hi for just a second. We've got some friends that have jumped in. Michelle says, "How do you feel when the homeowner gives the new cleaner a list of things they want done?" And that's a
Okay.
great question.
Yeah, that's really important. So, I would say a big aspect of what makes us a little bit different is the fact that we really try and pay attention to the customer's wants and desires. Okay. So, for reoccurring service specifically, so somebody who's wanting, an initial clean done and then weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly service, we always do an in-home estimate. Okay. Either myself or Barbara will go to the home, meet the customer, and take a walk through the home to really find out what it is, what we call their hotspots are. So we will ensure, we notate for our team what exactly it is you're wanting done. Are you wanting the pillows fluffed? Are you wanting your bed sheets changed? Does the dust on top of the shower ledge really bother you? Like, I want to know these things so I can relay that to my team and they can take special attention and note for those things. I mean, they'll clean, but I want to make sure they pay special attention to the areas that matter most to you. And so that's where that list kind of comes into play.
I love that. I love that you're so specific with that. Aaron says, we love a good cleaning company. Thank you guys for being in the business and for brightening up the lives of us and our clients. Y'all are amazing. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Aaron. And so my question is, from a real estate standpoint, when you're talking about buying and selling a home, you just mentioned where you do a walkthrough. When
Mhm.
you're selling a home, do you do the walkthrough with the buyer or the seller or the realtor? Who does the walkthrough happen to, and who pays for the clean?
Yeah, so the walkthrough, you mean for like quality assurance standpoint?
Well, yes, and this is another question we just got from Aaron. He says, "Do you pay for the cleaning as the realtor? Do you do a pre-listing clean and another before the next person moves in?" Aaron, you and I are on the same wavelength here. That was that was my question as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. So everybody is a little bit different in their process. Like when some people decide to sell, they will take photos before the furniture is out to have a more homey feel to it. And then they already know where they're going. So they'll move everything out. And then, the house is essentially empty when it lists and it hits the market. Other people will move everything out already, have all the furniture gone and everything else. And then once they're, moved out, they want the clean done and then they list the home. It just kind of depends. So there are differences with someone living in the home and someone not living in the home. So if they're in the home and they have, objects in the cabinets where we would clean those out in a move out clean, things in the refrigerator, things like that, where we would not be able to essentially access those areas and clean because there are objects there, we
Mhm.
would not, have them probably take on that move in, move out clean. We do a one time, and then it'd be up to them whether they wanted us to come back for that extra deep clean once they had moved all of their furniture and things out.
So if you are the cleaning company and you're doing a move in, move out clean, and it could be maybe it's not a move out clean, maybe it's I'm getting my home ready to list
Mhm.
cleaning, and then they're going to try to maintain it really fast. Like if they get a call from the realtor and the realtor says, "Hey, we're coming over in 10 minutes," for example. Now they got to hurry and tidy up or whatever. What advice would you give to somebody that is in the process of moving out and maybe they still have all their stuff there and they haven't moved anything out yet?
So I think there's a difference between a dirty house and an unorganized one.
Hmm.
Okay. So a dirty house, you can see dust on baseboards. People have kicked the baseboards with their shoes, or they've got dirty dishes in the sink. They've got gunk around their showers and their tubs, their sinks, things like that. That's dirty. Those are the things that we want to clean for our customers and it not be a visual problem. Now,
Mhm.
somebody who has their shoes in the floor, has papers on the desk, has, even though they may be clean, like pots or pans on the kitchen countertop, you can organize that and prepare a little bit for showings like that. In the realtor community, it's understood when someone's living in a home. Okay. We get it. You can't have the house 100% perfect all the time if you're still living there. It's just not feasible for people, especially who work full time, have children that are really busy. It's just hard to do that. So there's a level of understanding there. But if the house is in disarray because you've got objects laying everywhere, toys out, dog toys, kids' toys, whatever it may be, it's really important to really collect those kinds of things. So, when it comes to decluttering and collecting, that's actually what we prefer before we go into clean. So we actually can access and clean those things. I always tell people it's kind of a joke, but I always say, listen, as much as I would love to help, we're not a moving company.
Mm.
With this business, as well as a lot of others, boils down to time. And if you're requiring my team to move a bunch of stuff and they're there for an extra hour, hour and a half than I had originally quoted you for and that we had discussed, well, then we're behind on our entire route for the rest of the day. And my cleaners aren't able to go home to their families on time and have dinner. And it's all because you wanted something that shouldn't have been done or should have been told to me ahead of time. So there's always a why and a reason behind things. And I am transparent when it comes to stuff like that. I am more than happy to talk to a customer and tell them these things because I want them to understand why it is we do what we do. I don't know about the people who are watching, but in my experience, especially when it comes to service-based things, I don't like being overcharged and especially not knowing why if there is a charge on there. So I really do appreciate it from a person to person human standpoint of why it is you're doing what it is you're doing.
So that's a really important distinction. As a customer, I like the transparency. I love that you said that. Also, as a business owner, I love the fact that you are willing, and this is a huge catch. So, all of you listen, if you did not pay attention and you missed this, that you are paying attention to your employees and say, I want to make sure they get home on time and they can go back to dinner with their families. Instead of just saying, oh, yes, we're people pleasers. And so we'll do whatever you say just because we want either the house to be clean and you to be satisfied and keep us as your house cleaner, or because there's, heaven forbid, the sale is tomorrow on the house and we got to hurry and make sure that it's ready to go. Right. So instead of putting your cleaners at a disadvantage, because it's convenient to the customer, you say, hey, I got no problem as a business owner telling you like it is. I love that. That's so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I want to make sure that our employees are happy, satisfied, excited to come to work, willing to put in the extra effort, and they want to do this. They want to help these customers out. I don't I don't ever want to put them in a compromising position, and especially if that sacrifices their time with their families. You
Mm.
know, we do not work on weekends because I want them to have the break. I want them to enjoy time with their families and time away and time to relax. The only time it's ever happened, we had a customer who just absolutely had to have something done on a Monday. You know, it had to be ready. They had a party on Monday or something like that. And they were this was a Friday, by the way. Friday they call and they say, "Hey, is there any way you can have it done tomorrow or Sunday? I have a party on Monday." Of course, I'm looking at the calendar. We don't work weekends, ma'am. It has to be either today and it's Friday and I did not have room for it, or it has to be done on Monday, like Monday morning. And she was like, no, they're coming in at 9 a.m. There's no way you'll get it done in time. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to speak with my cleaning specialist and I'm going to see if they're willing to come in on a Sunday, if that's possible. And so I spoke with them. They were willing to. They were willing to come in, get some extra hours, but I upcharged a little bit for a weekend clean. And then I turned around and gave them that extra little bit, the cleaning specialist, because they came in on a day they didn't have to.
Mhm.
So it's really important to take care of your employees and make sure that, they're happy, they're satisfied because they're the ones on the front line putting that work in for you.
And is that also true on holidays? If a holiday falls on a regular cleaning day, do you upcharge for that or how does that work?
So it depends on the holiday. So we do not work 6 holidays throughout the year, and we ensure our employees are compensated for those holidays. We believe that it's really important that they spend time with their family on those holidays. So we wouldn't even take a clean that was on like Christmas Day or
Mhm.
Thanksgiving Day. We wouldn't do that.
Interesting.
And to me, that's a non-negotiable. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care how intensely the cleaning needs to be done. We're not always going to be the right fit for somebody, and that's okay. That's, you're not going to win them all. And if they just have to have it done and they can't understand that family time is important and that the cleaning specialists need that time as well, then we don't need them as a customer.
There you go. Question, and this goes back to Aaron's question. If you were in the real estate industry and you were paying for a clean, who pays for that? Does the realtor ever pay for that, or is there ever a universe in which they might?
It depends. So it's pretty well known in the industry that a lot of times, especially for buyers, that you'll give, a buyer a closing gift, whether
Mhm.
it can be a lot of different things. Sometimes a realtor will pay to have their home cleaned as that gift. So it just kind of depends on the situation. A lot of times the customers end up paying for it themselves, but if the realtor feels, that they want to do that for them, they can.
And as a cleaning business owner who's also a realtor, and this is kind of a cool question because very rarely do we get this combo. What is your preference?
For payment,
Yeah.
like I said, it just depends. It depends on the gift. I like a gift that's a little more personalized.
Mhm.
So, I'll do a lot of different things that has maybe their home addressed, etching like a cutting board, for example. That's a big one. We have a
Uh-huh.
local, I guess you could call it like a etching kind of boutique-esque store that has a lot of really cool things like that. So we'll get a cutting board and it'll have their last name, their address on it, the date of established. You know what I mean? So that'll be something that's really cool. And it's kind of the first piece of I don't want to say equipment, but it's the first thing in the home that really, really shows that like, yes, this is home now and this is our home. So I personally really like a customized, gift. It shows a little more. You took a little more initiative, a little more to it. But like I said, some realtors really like to pay for it as a gift, and that's completely up to them, and that's okay.
I love that. Crime Time Grime says I love that company name, by the way. That's pretty cool. Weekends should be time and a half, and holidays should be double time, more money and more money. Yes, I love that. And I love the fact that every company is deciding their own protocols for holidays or no holidays. And I know that
Absolutely.
and it's interesting because in my business, we always did do holidays, which is kind of a flip side of that
Hmm.
because we had a lot of people that either did not have family nearby, and so they were going to be alone for the holidays. And so we would upsell, we would upcharge, and then they would do a special package where, like on Thanksgiving Day, for example, they would go in and it was just a special package for Thanksgiving Day. Here in the United States, people have a great big turkey dinner and they invite all their family in. Then the family wants to leave and not do dishes, and they want to go watch a ball game, for example.
Yep.
So the cleaner would go in and do nothing but put all the food away in like little freezer packs. They would wipe up all the Thanksgiving meal, sweep and mop the floor, and they're gone. And they have all the desserts and everything out on the table, and then they would go to the next house. And so the house
That sounds like
cleaners
a
would do
good gig.
seven or eight Thanksgiving dinners, and it got to the point where our clients would plan their dinners around when the cleaner could come to clean up the meal.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I mean, they would top out at like, I don't know, 1,300 to 1,400 bucks a day on Thanksgiving Day. And
Wow.
so we had people that were cleaners that would schedule their family Thanksgiving on like Sunday. And on that Thursday, they're like, I totally want to work. And they would like book themselves in advance, like, hey, it's only May, but I want to be working on Thanksgiving Day this year. We're like, okay. So it was weird because we always sold that as like premium time. And we had lots and lots of customers that loved it. And we had lots of house cleaners that would beg for that day, like, please put me on the Thanksgiving rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great. The beauty about running your own business, whether it's a franchise or your own company, is you completely get to decide how you want to approach this. Okay.
Mhm.
It's up to you on how you want to go about that. Like you said, I mean, if you want to charge double and your employees are willing to work on on the holidays, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to encourage my specialists to sacrifice the time with their families
Right.
solely for the money.
Right.
So I was afraid that even if we did something like that, that they would sacrifice having that Thanksgiving dinner because of the opportunity to make more money. And I didn't want there to be a choice. I wanted them to spend the time, take the break. You're still going to get paid for a holiday, you know, relax for a little while. And that's
Well,
just how we do things.
I love that thought because it's so easy to reach burnout as a house cleaner. And so if you have built-in days off and you have built-in holidays and built-in family days, that really reserves in the back of their mind. And having been a cleaner myself for 25 years, you start to plan for it. Like, well, okay, I've got 3 more days this week and then I've got a day off. Right. And you start looking forward to the day off, like, oh, if I could just get through the next 3 days, I'll have this made. And so to build that into the schedule, I think is premium.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we reschedule cleans because of it. It's just what needs to be done. It's a non-negotiable for us. If you can't take a break, we don't want workaholics. Okay. I love the fact that when you're here, you're busting butt, you're busting tail to try and make these jobs happen and make customers happy. I'm all here for that. Let's get it done. But on a holiday, time to spend with your family or just relax. Even like you said, even if family's not in town, just an opportunity to take the break and still know you're going to get paid as a full timer, then just take the break.
So tell us, not just specifically about holidays, but tell us what some of the specialty cleaning items are that you guys promote in your business.
So a big one, a big one is a Valentine's Day clean. Now, something that we're going to be rolling out in February. So we opened our doors July 1st. Okay. We haven't
Mhm.
been open for years on end. Okay. So something that we're looking forward to is a good old Valentine's Day clean as a gift for, a significant other, for a parent, whatever it may be. And I don't have the details super ironed out just yet, but we want to do something special where maybe we'll leave some chocolates behind and, a nice note, to say, like somebody can custom make a note and say, hey, honey, I know you had a really hard day. I know it's been tough at work lately. I wanted to surprise you with this. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. Something like that. Like I said, I don't have the details ironed out yet, but that's something that I would like to implement for us to kind of go that extra mile for people and to have as an opportunity, not only for more, service for us as far as a potential one-time clean from somebody, but for them to be able to give a gift to their significant other that they might not even know they wanted.
Not knowing they wanted. We went to a resort one time for our anniversary. And as a gift, they made the bed is always looks really nice and it's always really tight and the pillows are fluffed and all the things that you expect at a resort.
Mhm.
But what they did is they took rose petals and they made a great big Valentine on the bed, and then they made a happy face out of rose petals on the bed. And I got to tell you, when I walked in, I just died laughing. I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And of
Yeah.
course, I took pictures of it, and this is the step beyond. I took pictures of it, and I'm posting it all over social media, like, "OMG, check it out!
Yeah.
This is the coolest thing. I've got to incorporate this in the cleaning."
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So that would
But
be a phenomenal idea.
hashtag home clean, whatever Huntsville, whatever your hashtag is that you're using,
Yeah.
right? So that people know that that is your company and that you went to this special effort to make something happen, you know. And of course, you would charge the client for the rose petals and all the, you know.
Sure.
But it was so amazing and so impressive. So
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Our hashtag is every home needs a hero, right? I don't know
that's your
anybody who does
hashtag.
our hashtag every home needs a hero.
Every home needs a hero. That's a long hashtag, but I love it.
It is. We'll capitalize every word in there, but I wanted to kind of just not distract, but to be an eye grabber for people because I truly believe every home does need a hero. And so doing something like that on Valentine's Day, I think would be a great idea.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. So, what other specialty projects do you guys have?
Well, the big one is move in, move outs. So whether that be for, realtors selling a home, people moving out of an apartment, we'll kind of go the extra mile on those by cleaning out all of the insides of the cabinets. So in the kitchen, insides of the vanities, pulling out drawers, really, I don't want to say sweeping because you can't get a broom in there, but dustpan or a duster or some kind to really make sure that when the next person enters in to whether it be a home or an apartment, that it truly is clean inside and out from a standpoint of they're not pulling out a drawer and it's all dirty, filthy, and they can really move in and start enjoying the new home.
I love that. What are some of the misconceptions that people have about specialty cleaning?
I would say that people assume that every cleaning company is the same and they all do the same things. And I'm not just talking about from a standpoint of the level of cleanliness, like what is physically being cleaned. I mean the services provided. So a lot of people assume that everybody's a maid when they
Mhm.
walk in, and we pride ourselves in not using that word to describe anybody on this team. We are cleaning specialists and they are trained to be specialized in this field at what they do. But we're not your mama. Okay. We're not picking up toys everywhere. We're not moving 1,000 perfume bottles just to access something. We're not a moving company. We're a cleaning company. And so we really set that expectation up front to ensure to our customers, hey, listen, we'll clean what we can access, but we cannot spend all day here. Okay.
Mhm.
And there's a big reason for that. It's because we're not the maid, we're cleaning. There's a big difference, big indicator there. So that being said, just setting expectations for stuff like that. Doing laundry is another one we don't do. That's just not a service that we provide. And so in the case where, a customer will ask, well, since you're here, can you do our laundry for us? Unfortunately, we can't do that. That's not a service that we provide, but we do work ourselves with a laundromat and I'd be happy to give you their information. So we try to help people with those connections and really helping them do what they need to do, even if it's not with us.
And I think that's a distinction between a franchise and a smaller mom and pop company that may be able to bend the rules a little bit and create some flexibility. But I love the
Sure.
fact that you have a very specific set of tasks. Here's what we do, here's what we don't do. And I think it is equally as important to know what you don't do as it is to know what you do. Because that way, when
Absolutely.
an employee gets out on a job and the customer, and I think this goes back to the question we had earlier about what happens when somebody gives you a to-do list. When a cleaning specialist gets out on a job and the client's like, oh, hey, I have a couple extra things. Can you just like slide this in today? Very
Mhm.
clearly, then everybody's on the same page and go, ah, I would love to. And unfortunately, that's not part of the package that you've paid for. And so if you'll call the office, maybe it can be arranged at a later time or something like that.
Absolutely. And I knew before getting into this that focus is one of the hardest things I think we all struggle with, or certainly a lot of us do. There's going to be a lot of great opportunities for investments and, doing things in your life that you could potentially be really successful at. But focus is hard. Picking something and sticking to it and really staying in boundaries can be very, very good for you, because if we stick to these boundaries, we can be really, really good at it. That's the reason we're called specialists. We call our employees cleaning specialists because they truly are specialists at what they do. And it's incredibly difficult to be a specialist at a lot of different things, right? But if you just focus on these core elements of the business, you can be the top of your game at it. So that's how we approach it.
Well, and I think it goes back to Greg McEwen's concept of, are you minoring in major things? And
Yes,
so there are a lot of people that, like you said, they are kind of good at a lot of things, but they're not really good at the main thing. And
absolutely.
so if you major in minor things, are you minoring in the major things?
Yep, I
So,
agree.
but I love the focus and the attention. Is there a distinction between regular cleaning and move in, move out cleaning?
Yeah. So with move in, move out cleaning specifically, we're going in all the kitchen cabinets, all the vanities in your bathroom, all the drawers, pulls, anything like that. We're wiping all of that out. We're making sure that the insides of all those are clean. Also, that includes all the windows throughout the home. So all the glass, the window tracks, the slides, the window sashes, all that stuff. That's all included as well. The inside of the oven is included as well, along with the refrigerator. We want to make sure that everything is pulled out, is cleaned. Anything that somebody may be walking into as a new resident, homeowner, whatever it may be, is ready to be lived in and called home. So that's kind of that extra mile with the move out clean.
And what is different? And this is a trick question, but what is different between a move in, move out clean and a deep clean?
So a deep clean is a very generalized phrase, right? So we like to consider a deep clean is done every single time, even for recurring service. And the way we go about it is we have a certain method. Okay. So we don't miss things. All right. So we want to start with, high dusting and kind of work our way down in a room, really analyze the room, make sure we're not missing things as we go along. And then that way, we're able to hit multiple surfaces. We're able to work room by room, and then really work our way out of the home. So, I guess the idea of a deep clean, a lot of different companies have a very generalized surface level of a clean where they just hit major things, maybe like kitchens, bathrooms, all the stuff that gets used pretty regularly, but they neglect baseboards, or they neglect dusting ceiling fans or crown molding tray ceilings, whatever it may be. We're very methodical in the way we do things. So we want to ensure that level and that depth of clean occurs every single time. So I wouldn't necessarily say that a move in, move out clean is a deeper clean. It's just what gets attacked. You know what I mean? It's just more things are being clean, not that it's a different level of and depth of a clean for those same areas.
Okay, so now I have another trick question. I just love
Okay.
trick questions.
Yeah, please hit me.
So you go into a house and the family has teenage daughters, and I say teenage daughters, meaning they've got very long hair, and the long hairs have fallen into the bathtub and have been sucked down the drain. And when they take baths, the water rises to a certain level, and then when it tries to drain, it creates a ring around the tub, and then everything below that ring is all muckety muck.
Yep.
That tub, and we all know what that tub is, right? All of you guys have a vision in your mind of that tub. I know you've seen them. Is that a deep clean, or is that like a special project that you do on the side?
It comes with the territory. Okay. So even if that occurred on a bi-weekly basis for a clean, that tub was going to be challenging every single time, then we need to account for that when it comes to the estimate. So that's why we do in-home estimates, to see those kinds of things. So, when we go say, well, I'll give you a live example. We go to a home. I'm walking the home to see it in person, to see what we're working with. I go in the bathroom and I see the fact that long hair is everywhere. There are two teenage girls that live here and share this bathroom together. I'm already doing the math to figure out if the drain is getting clogged. And I'm transparent. I'll ask the homeowner. I said, now I'm gonna be honest with you. Do you tend to have draining issues? Do you have a lot of hair in this tub? And they'll know. They'll know. And then they'll say one way or another. And so I know that, like you said, if there's like a line there and everything underneath it, kind of like a gunk line kind of thing, I know that that's going to take some extra time and attention for the cleaning specialist to really work on that every single time. And so I need to account for that when it comes to pricing for that job. So it's really important that I'm able to see those kinds of things. And that's why we do an in-home estimate.
Mhm.
So yes, that would occur, whether it's recurring, a move and move out, a one-time clean. We're going to make sure that looks good, but you're going to pay a little bit more if it's going to require more time. I mean, time is money.
Mhm. So, what advice would you give to a homeowner that pays for a professional cleaning company like yours to come in and clean their home, to keep their home maintained between cleanings? You mentioned you're not a maid service.
Correct. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do to help, to help with the next and the recurring services. And they're little things. Obviously, like I'd mentioned before, decluttering is a big one. Decluttering goes a really long way, but there are subtle things that can help as well. So, bathrooms, for example, glass showers are a big one. Glass showers can be very troublesome. Having a full glass panel top to bottom, a lot of times calcium buildup, soap scum, that kind of stuff really sticks on glass, and it's difficult to get that off sometimes. So on a bi-weekly clean, it might come off a little bit easier because it's only been, say, 2 weeks since we've been there. Now for a monthly clean, that's been 4 weeks of constant buildup. If nothing's been done, we can most of the time get that off. There are things and methods we use to get that off. But what really helps is when people have like squeegees. They squeegee it like the back of a car window or something like that. They take a squeegee at the end of every shower and they just squeegee the excess water off. That way that stuff doesn't stay on there. And maybe we only have to worry about the bottom lip instead of the entire panel of glass. That's a big help.
While you're talking about that, can we clarify something real quick?
Okay, sure.
The squeegee also works for the shower floor. And a lot of people think that
Mhm.
if they'll squeegee the glass, I'm done. No, you are not. If there's standing water on the bottom of the shower floor, that's going to help create mold and it's going to keep the area just all the moisture inside your shower. And that is where, even if your walls are semi clean, you're still going to get mold in the corners. So if you are squeegeeing the glass, if you'll just like reach down and squeegee the floor as well, squeegee all the water towards the drain, that will
It's a
make
big
me
plus.
that will make me really happy.
Well, it not only makes things a little easier for the cleaning specialist, but it also makes things a lot better for the homeowner because you're not seeing that discoloration in your grout. So
Yeah.
for somebody like myself, I love a dark shower. Oh, a black tile, the white grout. Oh, it just pops. I love it. But water and hard water stains, soap scum, that stuff shows up really, really easily. And if you're
Mhm.
not doing those kinds of things, you could potentially ruin the grout. So there's I did a home remodel a couple years ago and I'd use something called snow white grout. It's like
Mm.
stark white. It looked incredible. But if you're not careful with it, it can really basically stain the grout by getting in there. It won't keep its complexion.
Mm. Speaking about grout, what is your philosophy on those little tiny tiles that are so popular right now? Those little hexagon shaped tiles that are like all over the showers, and they're only like half of an inch, and you walk in and your eyes get really big, and you try not to cry while you're doing the estimate. Like, no, you didn't, and you're asking me to clean.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing to remember here is that, you want to live your life and you want to have the things in it that you absolutely love. I will never tell a customer they shouldn't get something because keeping up with it is difficult. Now, it's
Mhm,
not to say it won't be mentioned. Like if I see the littlest little hexagon squares in there, I could say, hey, listen, this is going to take a little bit longer because of this, or we really need to be coming bi-weekly or weekly instead of, every month or just, one time like throughout the year kind of thing, because if you don't keep up with this, it's going to be really noticeable. The smaller the squares are, the more grout there is, and the
mhm.
easier you're going to be able to spot stuff like that.
Okay, so you said that you're getting married soon,
I
and
am.
so congratulations.
Thank you so
Is
much.
Is there anything in your home, in your married home, that you chose not to have based on your experience in the cleaning industry? Like, "Oh, wait, that's really hard to clean. I'm not having that in my house."
Yeah. No, the good thing is that we've been in a home before I did this. So it's not like I chose anything because of that. And I still don't think that would deter me. The only thing that would deter me, I'm trying to think of exactly what it was. I went into a home one time and they had some sort of wall inlet design. It was like, it wasn't wainscoting, but it was some sort of wood design that had like multiple like levels to it. And it looked incredible. And the only thing I could think of the entire time was, wow, I bet dust is just all in that. That's all I could think about was how much dust was in there and how hard it would be to clean that. So, that would be one of those things where I don't even think I could help it. I would just see it and be like, no, that's not a good idea. I can tell you right now, it's going to be terrible to keep clean. But for the most part, you like what you like. If it's a really, really awesome design, unless I knew it was going to be catastrophic to try and keep it clean, which a lot of those tile situations, it's not, as long as you keep it, you squeegee the floor and very often have it professionally cleaned, especially to our standards, it won't really be an issue. But yeah, things like that with the inlets and really thick wainscoting, that could be kind of tricky.
That reminds me, I recently went and I bid a job on a house and they had this amazing, it was a brand new house, an amazing fireplace. And the stones on the fireplace were jutted out so that there's like this much of a lip on all of the stones. And they were all kind of like in different patterns, like close up, far away, whatever. And they're like, isn't this amazing? And I was like, it is amazing for so many reasons and not the reasons that you think. And I'm thinking once the dust settles on top of all of those lips and ledges, it's going to be so hard because you can't use like a Swiffer duster to clean it. You're going to have to use like literally a vacuum or like a brush to try to get it off. It's going to be so high maintenance. And I mean, I just looked at it and my eyes got really big and I was like biting my tongue, like, don't offend these people. They think this is the coolest thing ever. And I'm thinking to myself, not.
So that's part of the conversation having with the customer. And I'm sure you did this where, if I was in that situation, I'd look at the customer and I'd say, so what are your expectations on cleaning the fireplace? And some people will say, oh, I didn't intend for you to even touch that. Like, I like the way it is and don't worry about it. That's fine. So that doesn't go into the price of the estimate, but they're like, if they say, well, I expect you to clean it, dust it really well, clean it really well. And here you are thinking, well, there's all these little juts and stones and things to work around. Where the dust is going to lead to one of these days. And so you're just, oh my gosh, that would be difficult. And so you need to plan for that accordingly.
We've always done the same, like, tell me about this fireplace. And let them tell you, because if they tell me all how cool it is, I don't want to defame them by saying, well, it sucks because it's going to be really hard to clean.
Absolutely.
I want to, like, if they tell me, oh, we spent so much money on this and it's this and okay, this is a special project. And I would love to honor this by really spending a day going over it. That's not part of the regular clean, when we can dust off each one of those ledges with a fine brush that's not going to rip and shred, and it's going to make this look top notch.
Absolutely.
For that, let's build this as a separate project altogether, because no way you can do it in a regular clean. No way.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. And you never want to defame or, tell anybody their stuff is ugly, because you wouldn't want somebody coming in your house and saying that. Like, what if you take pride in, I don't know, a marble fireplace and somebody says, oh, marble is just the ugliest thing around. That's offensive. Like, you don't want to hear that. Right. Why would you say it?
Well, it reminds me of this florist. And the florist was, for lack of a better term, he had to have like ferns everywhere, except they also cooked a lot of bacon and fried foods inside their house. And so to me, I was looking at all those ferns up there on top of all the cabinets, and I'm like, no way, because the dust then settles every time the air conditioning kicks on or whatever. The dust settles on all that grease that just settled on all that, and you've got to literally take all the plants out, and you've got to hose them down with soap and water, and it's just a whole different ball of wax.
Brutal.
And so while he was like so into having ferns and plants all over his house, and they were silk plants, let's say that all of the silk plants are a special project that we won't touch, except on a special day when that's what we're doing.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good way to approach it.
But one of those things that I walked in, I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. I think a customer had asked me once if we could dust their fine china set. Oh my gosh, it was immaculate. And I said, I am so sorry, but I cannot do that. Like, I cannot be held responsible for us potentially breaking one of these literally priceless artifacts. Like,
Mhm.
it just, you need to do it yourself. I'm sorry.
Well, and that became one of our questions because on my walkthrough, I would always ask the family, there's probably something in this house that is irreplaceable and it's really expensive. And if we broke it, we would both be devastated because it would
Sure.
be irreplaceable. Tell me what those things are as we walk through your house so that I don't accidentally bump them. And they're like,
Absolutely.
oh, this. And I'm like, oh, let me make a note of that.
Oh, you got to write it down. Yeah, you got to be ready.
So speaking of which, how do you train your house cleaners, your cleaning specialists, so that they are on top of their A game at every house and they know what all of those specific issues are?
Absolutely. So we have an onboarding day when everybody starts, where we take the day to walk through our policies and procedures, talk about the job itself, how we do things, why we do it the way we do. And then we actually have them watch a set of videos that really goes into detail and explains a lot of the nuances while on the job. And so after they've had that virtual training, Barbara, our operations manager and co-owner, will go out with them and really take the time to sit there and work alongside them to ensure that they can then take that virtual training and apply it in person. So, she's the patient teaching type that she's had a background in teaching in HR for years. She's really, really good at it. That's why she does this part of the business. And she just takes the time to ensure that they understand why it is we do it this way, the products to use in the situation, I hate to say how to scrub, but truly what brushes to use in what areas of the home, that kind of stuff. So we'll take the time to really, really make sure that they understand well how to approach cleaning.
I love that. What role does technology play in Home Clean Heroes?
So technology is a big one. And a lot of industries, not industries, a lot of companies, especially in service industries, don't have it from a standpoint of communication. So you remember earlier, I told you communication was a big part of why I wanted to do this, because it had been so poor in previous encounters with other cleaners. And most of the time it's mom and pops who rarely check their phone because they have no employees. They're the only ones out there cleaning. They don't always have their phones with them. How we instill technology in that instance is we actually send a text reminder 24 hours beforehand to say, hey, as a reminder, we're coming out tomorrow. Let us know if you need anything or if you're sick. And then the day of, we'll send one with an estimated time of arrival so that people can be prepared and know when we're on the way. And then if they need to run an errand, even if they're home, we're going to send a text to say, hey, we've finished our cleaning up. Thank you so much for allowing us to fight the grime in your home. So those three pieces there not only are well communicated with our customers, but it shows them where the team is in this process. There's a lot of faith. There's a lot of trust here for a cleaner to come into your home, perhaps in the middle of the day while you're at work and you don't really know what's going on. So it's a great aspect and tool to have that they know when they're on the way and when they've left.
And so, how does Home Clean Heroes handle feedback from customers that have an issue or something while they're at work or something, and the home specialists come in and clean?
Yeah, so we actually really, really take feedback seriously. And we usually, I think we send a feedback request after an in-home estimate, after the initial first clean, and then we send one out periodically after that to ensure things are still going smoothly. We'll email that feedback request, and that's what really determines what needs to happen if anything didn't go right. Okay. And it happens, everybody's level of cleanliness and what their expectation of a clean are different. What you think is really clean and what I think is really clean could be two totally different things. It just depends. And so in that instance, we have something called a hero guarantee, where we will make sure that we make things right no matter what, if it's reasonable. Right.
Mhm.
So depending on what it is and what that feedback looks like, I or myself or Barbara will reach out to the customer and say, hey, listen, I saw your feedback. I really hate that, if it was bad, I really hate that this happened. We definitely want to make that right for you. Do you have availability on XYZ day for myself or us personally to come out there, see it and see what's going on? Anytime there's poor feedback because of something happening, we want to ensure that we see what's going on here, because I don't know whether to reprimand my specialist or if they did what they were trained to do and this customer just has unrealistic expectations of what needed to occur. And so I am never going to jump down the throat of my specialist and say, you guys just screwed this all up if I haven't actually seen it. So it's really imperative that one of us goes out there and looks at it. And if it warrants, us coming back and really taking another 30 minutes to an hour to fix things that were just forgotten that day, then we'll do it. And if not, if it's something myself or Barbara can fix pretty quickly, then we'll just knock it out right then and there. We always take product with us and ensure that things are done right.
You just said something about a customer with unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
And in the cleaning, behind the cleaning scenes, cleaners call those high maintenance customers.
It's a little more brash, but
so
yes.
What do you do when you run into a homeowner with unrealistic expectations?
You just have to handle it accordingly. So I'll give you a prime example. We had a customer that we went on an initial clean for, and their house was, let's just say it needed some TLC. I'll leave it there for the imagination. In their kitchen, they had very older traditional wooden cabinets, and they cook a lot. I don't know what exactly it is they cook a lot, but there's a lot of kick up onto the cabinets. There was a lot of things on these cabinets. And because it's real wood, a lot of that has soaked into the wood over the years. So it's really, really hard to get that off of there. And frankly, it probably will take multiple sessions of cleaning it. Like sometimes you can't get everything on the first round. You need to let the products do what they need to do, loosen some of that up, and then the next time we come by, we'll hit it again really hard until we can try and get it off. But there is a point where we're not HGTV. We can't remodel a home, right? And those cabinets were just they were too far gone. There was no way to bring those back up without refinishing them and getting that layer literally out of the wood. So I had that conversation with her. I said, listen, ma'am, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but these cabinets, I don't think we're going to be able to get them back original. Like they're raw wood. Things have soaked into them. And she says, well, just do what you can. I said, okay, all right. So I believed we were on the same page with this, and my specialist worked as hard as they could to really get some of that off. I personally, really gave it the scrub and tried to get some of that stuff off there. But like I said, those cabinets couldn't have been saved. And we got called on it. I think she called it a day later and said, I'm really disappointed in the fact that you guys couldn't get my cabinets to look like I bought them 30 years ago or 40 years ago or whatever. I said, ma'am, I'm really sorry. We had this conversation. I hate to say this, but I told you, I didn't think we'd be able to get these original. And this is the part that's really tricky. You can't just sit there and tell somebody you've destroyed them too much. This is your fault. It's very aggressive. It doesn't come across very professional. So I said, ma'am, I'm really sorry. It's been too long of too much going against the wood. We just are not able to repair that. I'm sorry. You're probably going to need to refinish those cabinets to get that layer of stuff off of there. She didn't like that answer. And so she requested to cancel all future services, and that's okay. I tried to set the expectation up front. You cannot please everybody. And that was one of those unrealistic expectations of something.
And so what do you do when you run into a situation where you have to cut ties and you're like, this is not working and it's not going to be healthy for us to try to continue this relationship? Let's say that it wasn't the customer that wanted to cancel the service, but let's suppose that it was you. How do you deal with that?
It's a really sensitive talk, whether that be on site, on the job, or a phone conversation. I try and make time to do that in person if I can. We haven't had too much of that because generally on the in-home estimate, I won't take the job if it's going to be something that's a little too out of our scope of work. But in the instance, we have to essentially fire a customer. We have that conversation. I say, listen, ma'am, sir, I'm really sorry that we have to do this, but I don't think we're going to continue to be a good fit for you for X amount of reasons. And it depends on what it is, kind of how you'll phrase that conversation. But say the cabinet person wasn't, really up in arms about it, but every time we would go there, she had the expectation it would get better, and it wouldn't, but she wasn't willing to split ties with us. And she just kept bringing it up. And after I've told her numerous times, there's just no way of bringing this back, that this just is not going to be a good fit because we can't do what you're asking us to do. Just fall on the sword. That's my thing. If you take that bullet, you fall on the sword and you're the bad guy, they can relinquish ties with you. They can say, okay, I'm not going to use their service anymore. And you did the best you could with what you had. You know what I mean? But the customer hopefully won't hold it against you personally to say, listen, you're not the problem. I am. I'm really sorry. This just isn't going to be a good fit for us any longer. We'll do what we can. We'll get you situated and, possibly even give recommendations to others. But, like I said, the biggest thing is you just want to say, this isn't a good fit for us anymore.
Wow. I love your answers.
Thank
Guys,
you.
if you're joining us, this is Ryan Day from Home Clean Heroes Huntsville. And I just really appreciate him joining us today and giving us all the inside secrets to how to run a cleaning business. And then also from a franchise perspective. This has been really, really awesome. Ryan, if you will, tell our listeners where they can go to find you.
Yeah. So we're on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. We try and post as much as possible. And so if you guys want to check out our social media, kind of see some of the things we've been posting about with holidays coming up and previous things going on. We've been part of street festivals. We've been doing a lot of things in our community. We've got reviews on our social media to, really show what we've been able to do for other customers. So I definitely encourage you guys to check us out. You can also look on our website, homecleanheroes.com/Huntsville for our location. Now we are a franchise, so there are other locations throughout the country. So if you're here listening in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there is a Home Clean Heroes in that location. In Charlotte, there's a location. There's multiple locations throughout the country. So if anything, if you just look up Home Clean Heroes, more than likely you'll be able to find the location closest to you. But our link is homecleanheroes.com/Huntsville.
This is so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to leave links in the show notes to all the things that Ryan talked about and also how you can get in touch with him if by chance you happen to be listening to this as a podcast or you're out walking your dog or something like that right now. So thanks again for joining us. We will see you guys same time, same place next week. And thank you, Ryan, so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.